All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
So earlier this year, David ADELEYE went out of his way to attend, was it the weighing or press conference of Joshua versus Franklin, to confront Fabio Wardley, the British heavyweight champion, talking about how much he wants to fight. Frazer Clarke, post-fight of some of his come-up fights with Ben Shalom, was saying how much they want the fight. Speaking quite boldly, the British Boxing Board of Control put Frazer Clarke's name for a purse bid, I guess because of his popularity, because ADELEYE has more pro fights. But Frazer got the chance and Ben Shalom pulled him out the purse bid. So you would assume that David ADELEYE's name is back in the frame. Now, he won on Friday at the York Hall. He won. He wasn't in no danger of losing, but a lot of people said he looked laboured. I'm noticing now, it's not a bodybuilding contest, his physique. Not as toned as it used to be. He looks a little slower actually, but maybe they're transitioning into a certain style where the additional bulk will play a factor, we'll see. But now, after that performance, you know, he's saying, oh, we're not bothered about Fabio Wardley, we're going to go the Tyson Fury route. And I'm asking myself, what's up with these guys? You're making a big deal about the fight, and now the road is clear, there's no Fabio Wardley in the way. Why isn't Frank Warren making the fight? Eddie and Fabio Wardley are doing interviews discussing who's going to challenge for the British title. They can't find no worthy challengers. From what Eddie Hearn was saying, the British Boxing Board of Control will not clear Dave Allen to fight Fabio Wardley. So that fight not happening for now. Who is there? Who's out there? Now, you know, the mention of Eddie Hearn gets a lot of people in their feelings. So I don't even want to say anything, because you're going to say, oh, you're shilling for Eddie Hearn. But what, this ain't embarrassing for supposedly two of the major promoters? Got two of your contender heavyweights in your stable saying they want the fight, but when it's time, where are you? They were going back and forth with each other, Frazer Clarke and David ADELEYE, running their mouths on each other. You're not fighting each other, and you're not fighting Fabio Wardley. Until you're serious about the fight, nobody wants to hear from you guys talking about you're the A side of Fabio Wardley. No, you're not. From what I'm hearing, like, the York Hall wasn't even full when David ADELEYE was fighting, and it only seats 1,000+ people, and you can't even fill it out. And you're the A side? You're getting more money than Fabio Wardley? I like David ADELEYE, I like Fabio Wardley, but I have to tell the truth, and I feel a lot of the British fighters are very influenced by what the American boxers do, what they call it clout chasing. But when I hear David talking, I'm not convinced he can pull it off, and like, it sounds a bit corny now, talking about how much of a roadman you are and this and that. This is boxing. If you're going to talk, you've got to back it up with action. And to me, it's not a matter if Frazer or David can beat Fabio Wardley, but if you're not ready to challenge a guy whose previous experience before turning professional is white collar fights, why are you making this big song and dance about the fight and not taking it? If you didn't say anything, nobody would be drawing attention to it. It's making you look bad. It's not making Fabio look bad, it's making you look bad. You know, Ben Shalom talking about Frazer Clarke is the A side over Fabio Wardley. Well, Frazer's fighting on Saturday in the York Hall, where David was just fighting. Seats 1,000+ people. Fabio Wardley, since he's fought on Matchroom, hasn't fought at the York Hall. And there's no shame in fighting at the York Hall. Did Matchroom have a York Hall card recently? I can't remember. Anyway, forget the venue. Frazer takes on MARIUZ WACH at the York Hall. Clarke is 31 years of age, 6-0, 5 inside the distance. MARIUZ WACH is 43, and he's seen better days, 37 wins, 20 inside the distance, 9 losses. He's won 4 out of his last 10. He's previously challenged for a world title against Vladimir Klitschko in a pretty good fight, actually. But them days are long gone. He's from Poland, and anything less than a comprehensive points win or stoppage is going to court a lot of criticism for Frazer. Let's keep it real. Everyone's signing up the heavyweights because that's where the money is, but they need to be drumming up interest. They need to be putting in some performances that stir up the interest. And so far, we haven't really seen nothing special from David ADELEYE or Frazer Clarke. And it's a lot of pressure. The pressure is mounting, you know what I mean? The pressure is mounting. WACH more than likely will be coming for a paycheck, maybe put up a couple of rounds of resistance, but Frazer's got to shut all that out, and he's got to do his job and do it well. Sonny Edwards, I tried to gravitate towards the kid, but, you know, the Croydon roadman antics, knocking the cap off his opponent's head and shut the fuck up, and all that. Okay, cool. He's going to produce fireworks in the ring. Nope. That's not a jab, what he's throwing most of the time. It's a flick. It's not a jab. It really ain't a jab. And spitting on the floor in the press conference, I don't know why he did it. Maybe to try and keep up the facade that he's some street dude. Because let's face it, he didn't back up his pre-fight actions against Campos. Not at all. In fact, it was Campos who threw the damaging punches throughout the fight. So right now, you know, I don't like spitting. You know, I have a particular hate on spitting. And him spitting on the floor in the presser is a little chavvy to me. And the pre-fight antics and during the fight antics, disappointment. Nah. I didn't like him as a boxer against Mithilani. I sure don't like what I saw on Saturday. You know what I mean? He scored a couple of wins like against Campos and Mithilani that if he had fought on the road in their countries or in neutral territory, them decisions could have easily went against him. That's just my opinion. And let me just inform the guy who pays my wages, Eddie Hearn, I don't want to hear no more talk about him being one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the United Kingdom. Because if that's the case, we need to rebuild and come again. Not really interested in watching him again unless they're going to pitch him in there with Bam or Martinez. Not interested. Should have watched the Champions League final. On the undercard, CHEAVON CLARKE looked the business against David Jameson. Jameson, in all truth, didn't look like he had any confidence going in there, and CHEAVON basically toyed with him. Best performance I've seen of CHEAVON to date. Some nice feints, some great movement, great punch selection, and he stopped him in round 5. Eddie's talking about CHEAVON could beat Chris Billiam-Smith right now. Now, CHEAVON is 32 years of age, 6-0 right now, so I can understand the temptation to fast track him, especially at cruiser. Since Usyk's left cruiser, there hasn't been no standout performers. You know, you got the likes of Bradis, but you know he's getting on. And while I could see CHEAVON technically doing very well with Billiam-Smith, you have to factor in Billiam-Smith has been in with Akoli, he's been in with Riakporhe, he's been in with Isaac Chamberlain, and it's just them championship rounds and toughing it out. You really got to think about, you know, Chev's been 10 rounds once. I was thinking perhaps Isaac Chamberlain, although he's at Sky with Mick Hennessy. But yeah, if they were to be able to get a shot against Billiam-Smith, I don't see it happening though. Chev's not ranked. Benchel, I'm sure, isn't going to go for that. But we'll see what they come up with in terms of his next opponent, if they're going to fast track him. He looked pretty good, although his opponent didn't seem to fancy it. I got to keep it real. He didn't seem to fancy it. Brave got knocked down twice, getting up and didn't want to stop, but his body language to me suggested he didn't want to be in there. I really liked ELLIE SCOTNEY's performance to become IBF World Super Bantamweight Champion against Shaneka Johnson, who really impressed me at the weigh-in with that spray-on bra top thing she was wearing. That I was highly impressed, you know what I mean? ELLIE, she's a boxer puncher. She's 7-0 now. No stoppages, funnily enough. She punches very correctly, and like, she's one of the better women boxers. Great footwork, great technique, throwing her punches and keeping her head off the line. Shane doing a very good job there. Very, very good. Jaime needed that championship round finish. His Ukraine opponent's footwork gave him fits. Jaime likes to throw a lot of punches, but when he stops throwing them, what does he do then? I mean, because, you know, he's there to get hit. And, like, it's almost like Eric Morales and whoever else is training him, they don't think about what happens when Jaime stops punching. What, just stand there with your mouth open? Does defense even matter? But, yo, it was a good fight. Left hook to the body in the 12th, sealed it off. Strong 11th round for Jaime. Derevyanchenko had his opportunities to perhaps get Jaime out of there, but Jaime showed a good beard, and Derevyanchenko showed a lot of quality. Like that right cross he throws is a beautiful punch to watch, in it. Lovely punch. 37 years of age. Jaime only 26, 42 fights. That's nearly about 3 times the amount of fights that Derevyanchenko has. In saying that, like, Derevyanchenko has fought Munguia now, Carlos Adames, Jamal Charlo, Gennady Golovkin, Daniel Jacobs. That's a stronger list of names than any of the champions currently can list on their resume. Mind you, he always loses against the top dogs, but he puts up credible performances, and this was another one. I don't care what the statistical record looks like. I don't give a shit. I want to watch him again. I'll always watch Derevyanchenko fight. Simple. As for Munguia, Golden Boy, stop messing around now. Pitch him in there with one of the belt holders, Johnny Beck, Lara, forget Jamal Charlo. I mean, his name's up there as a champion, but he's far from that. Or Carlos Adames. Becoming like a sickly joke now, the way he's being maneuvered, as entertaining as his fights are.